Here, you don't belong up here.
I don't.
Wow. God, I look skinny.
Oh, it's such good lighting.
Are skinny.
Franchi and Luke just make me look so small.
We are live.
Don't swear.
Oh, we figured it
Yeah,
out.
what's the rating on this? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have the crew for Spooky Pinball.
Clap for ourselves.
Now, their latest release, you may or may not know, is Evil Dead. It's in there inside the game room area. How many of you have actually played Evil Dead?
Yeah.
Yes. And I spoke to many people throughout the event and asking them what is their favorite game, and a lot of them keep highlighting Evil Dead, which is, for me, a little surprising, because for me, it's not a theme for me. But it's one of those things where, and I keep hinting on this, of the fact that it's a horror-based theme, but it's also very beautiful. And a part of that is because we have Christopher Franchi down there at the end, right here, actually, not the end.
Sorry,
he was at the end last year, but has done the art package for this. And I just kind of stood back even today and was just admiring of just how the colors popped. And he is evidently a very big fan of this theme. So in my head, I want to ask Franchi here, when it comes to art, when you knew you were doing this, like, where did you knew where to begin? I mean, like, what went through your head? Like, what do I need to do? Like, what do I want to do?
Is this on? Yes. Okay. Well, my first thought was exactly what you're talking about. It's like, you know, the color palette for Evil Dead was brown, tan, maroon, orange, black, and other boring colors. And I knew I couldn't do an art package like that because you guys would be pissed. And it would just look dull. So my first thing, my first goal was to find color palettes that would work, that would brighten it up, but work with the IP, work with the images and all of that, and try to find a happy balance that worked. So that was step one.
And it's like, because that's always the first thing that people see, obviously, is a machine. Like, look at it, just aesthetically, is it pleasing to the eye? And as of today, as someone who's not an avid pinball player, visited today, a friend of mine, he looked at it and he was like, it just looks really good. I'm like, I know. It's like, it's just, you just look at it, it's very pretty. And he was admiring the topper. He was like, that's just awesome. He's like, that is great right there. So it's like, when it comes to the topper, I kind of want a little bit more insight on the decision making on that process. Did you automatically know like what you wanted the topper to be? What other kind of ideas were going through your head?
The topper, whoa, that's way louder than I thought it would be.
Yours is the loudest.
I know, because they want to hear me. So the topper kind of came about through a mutual friend of mine who does Las Vegas escape rooms, actually. And he basically has this prop department that makes a lot of props for various projects in the film industry, escape room industry, and things like that. And he's bought all of our games. He actually kind of helped me secure the Evil Dead license. And after he saw our Scooby-Doo topper, he was like, oh, I could help you do some pretty cool toppers in the future if you wanted to. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I have this guy, Gary Tunicliffe, who's worked on more than dozens, a lot of horror movies. Most notably things like the Hellraiser franchise, a lot of the remakes in the early 2000s. And he was like, he could make you a really sick custom topper and we could produce all these for you. So I was like, okay, deal, let's try that out. And we knew we wanted to do the Cheryl topper. Is your phone ringer on right now, Ben? We knew we wanted to do the Cheryl topper right away. We thought the top of the game opening up would be really cool. And that was kind of the original idea we had, was like, how could we get inside the head and open it up? Which proved to be really, really difficult. So the designer started putting things together on how to do it on top of the head. And he absolutely killed it. Originally, I had ordered 400 toppers. And I did the math on how many toppers we sold for Scooby-Doo, which was our biggest seller yet. And I was like, oh man, I way over ordered these toppers. Like, I made a huge mistake. I'm gonna cost us thousands and thousands of dollars. I better cut that back to 200 toppers just to be safe, which ended up costing us a little bit more money. And then day one came around, the game started selling, and on day one we sold over 500 toppers. So, whoops, should have stuck with 400 at the start there.
So I guess that like segues into the question of like, you know, your own like thinking of how well is a theme like this. I have to imagine that as a pinball manufacturer, you're looking at everything you do. You're calculating like the risk versus reward on something.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like the theme of Evil Dead, and from people that I've already spoken to, that it's not a theme that speaks to them, but they highly enjoy the game.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's obviously speaking to people that aren't already fans of it. But it's like, so what was going through your mind as of like, you know, developing this game, like as a source of like, you know, the theme of Evil Dead? Is this something you're like, oh man, I really hope this is going to speak to the crowd, or is this maybe too niche? I mean, like, was it a sense of fear, or were you, like you already said, like in the topper, you're like, we ordered too much, we probably need to scale back. So I kind of want to know just a little more of your mental status of the whole process of this.
I was sitting in the corner of my office with my fingers like this on the floor, trying not to cry on launch day.
He should have the lights were off.
Yeah, they really were. I think we're forgetting kind of an important part, though. We sold out today, and
I was going to announce that a little bit later on.
thanks to
888s have sold through for Evil Dead. That's awesome.
kind of have some special guests over here, Joe and Michelle Newhart, Pinball star, as well as Bill, fearless sales leader.
Joe, how many Evil Deads did you buy today?
A lot. Yeah, not enough. So he is the proud owner of all of the remaining Evil Deads that are available anywhere. So
I got his business cards if you need one. But I've been passing them out around.
yeah, we already gave most of those away. We're gonna need more.
Something that I thought would really help, because like Evil Dead is kind of a pretty hardcore horror theme, almost more hardcore than Texas Chainsaw Massacre to an extent. But what it has that really speaks to pinball specifically is comedy. Like, comedy is something that has sold tens of thousands of units in this industry, especially when you look back at games from the 90s that were very popular. There's a lot of very quotable, funny things from those games that we love. And I knew that with Bruce Campbell behind the speech in the game, and with dozens of iconic moments from the movies of having him duplicate those, improvise on top of those, I knew that that would reach out past the general horror audience.
So you get the approval from the license holder, like, all right, you got Evil Dead. So you start reaching out to your team members, like, you know, Hilton and even Ben. And it's like, I'm kind of curious of how the conversation went down. Like, hey, we've got this theme. So as the coders, like Ben and Hilton down there, it's like, what goes through your mind when you get notified, like, hey, we've got this? And I know that Evil Dead's a very big theme for you, Ben. You've been wanting to do this for a long time. So when you got the green light, was it just like, you know, a kid in a candy store, or did you like just know where to go from there?
Well, they had come up with a lot of the rules ahead of time, like, okay, we've got, you know, Henrietta mode, Cheryl mode, it won't let us leave mode. So they had a lot of that written up in Trello. So we just, what?
It won't let us leave mode.
Yeah. I said it right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they had a lot of that written up ahead of time. And when we started Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they gave me a literal blank slate. Like, I was magic marking what I wanted on the inserts. But with Evil Dead, they'd already done the playfield art or whatever. So there was kind of more of an idea of what there would be for the modes. So they're like, okay, we'd like this mode where you know, it was the first two movies and then 4 modes per movie. And so they had a basic idea, so I used it as a template. But then myself, well, actually, it was all, you know, you, me, and Hilton, we all talked about it. And we wrote a bunch of notes on Post-it notes, and we decided what we do for the modes.
Yeah.
So we'd have like a brainstorm session, and then I would have to code it afterwards. But I mean, Evil Dead is obviously a really cool license that I've always liked. And so, yeah, it was really fun to do. And of course, the most fun was like writing dialogue for Bruce.
Yeah, Ben and I had some really cool just Zoom sessions going through writing various call-outs for things and putting things down that did not make the cut and putting things down that weren't funny at all, but were funny to us.
Yeah.
That did make the cut, that Bruce made fun of a lot while he was recording. And, you know, something really special to me between Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead both is I have had a lot of fun going to Madison and sitting down on a very cat hair covered couch with Hilton and Ben and brainstorming rules and modes and the overall idea of what the game was going to become. And Hilton and I had a couple really, really solid sessions on Evil Dead where when we were putting it together, we knew it was going to be pretty cool. We knew we had something pretty hot.
Yeah, when, sorry, this one's a little hot. When these guys told me I was working on TCM, and I think they were like, oh, Hilton's got some fun ideas. Like, we think we want him on the next. And I think Ben was like, yeah, I like working with Hilton, and I like working with Ben a lot. And when they told me Evil Dead was the next one, I was ecstatic because I love 90s pinball. I love Tina Fey in Medieval Madness. I love comedy in pinball, and I love a game that can fight back. Much like Scott Danesi, I love that aspect. Mm-hmm. As soon as I saw the layout, as soon as I knew what the license was, I was I was giddy with excitement of what I knew it was going to be. And it's just been so much fun. Those sessions are a blast. One of my favorite things in pinball is us like just being nerds.
Yeah.
And frankly, when the Bruce dialogue got recorded, I think the first session, I'll be honest, I thought it was a little flat. The second session, I was ecstatic with what Bruce did. He did all this ad-libbing. I think there was 100 pages of script, and I don't know,
160.
Yeah, he clearly just read more and more and more and ad-libbed more and more and more, and it just made me just smile like when I was growing up in the 90s playing pinball, and pinball made fun of you and made jokes and inside innuendos, and it's just, I love it.
That's the one thing that's too bad with the show is when we bring the game to it, is you can't hear everything as well. And there's a lot of audio that I feel like is getting missed out on this weekend. What's great is that the response is still so crazy positive, even though you can hardly hear the games in that room.
Yeah.
So when you can hear the games, I promise it'll be even better.
And that's one thing I picked up over the months that the game has been released, and as it's been getting out to locations, is that the response to this game has been so much higher than any other release that you have. There's like no denying it. You can't say, well, it's up to par. I'm like, no, this one is evidently something's different about that.
Yeah, it's not too often in pinball you get a universally accepted release.
Yes.
Just everyone likes it.
Like everyone agrees that this is like, Franchi's best art package that he's done yet. And so that's something that's very rare as that, art being subjective kind of thing, So it's like out of that, it's like, Franchi, like, how do you feel about getting that kind of response? It's obviously good, but, what's your feelings on that?
It's scary. I'm happy as long as whatever my last project is my best, because that just means it's when they say that, like, if the next one comes out and they're going like, well, I like the Evil Dead better, then I'm on the downhill slope. Like, well, like I'm thinking about retiring. So I'm ecstatic if everybody thinks that my latest one is my best, because that just means I'm on the right trajectory. So I've got no complaints.
And so from like a design standpoint, it's like how much like influence from your previous designs, like with TCM, influence what you're getting with Evil Dead? I mean, like, what did you hear from the public where you're like, okay, they didn't like this, and maybe we should do this or implement this more? Or kind of curious of what all influences you got that you decided to make decisions on.
Luke and I are always terrified of doing the same thing 2 times in a row. And it's funny, as we get positive feedback from people of like, oh, we really liked this feature in your game, we're like, okay, we can start using that again. And then we realize it's 4 years out until they're going to see it again. But I think really, we had a motto in this one, and it was F the BOM. We never stopped adding what we thought the game needed this time around. And Luke has done a really fantastic job of refining his layouts and designs to be, one, very buildable, which is very crucial to production, and then 2, just the flow and the precision of his shots and everything are getting almost too good to where things are moving a little too fast on certain things that I have to adjust them differently to keep them in check and whatnot. But in this game, we just decided it was okay if we didn't make any money. We just wanted to make sure that it had everything people wanted, because we just really wanted something that the entire masses would really appreciate as far as the layout goes. And I feel like we definitely found that on this one.
And it was definitely a change of pace when it comes to only having one tier opposed to having multiple tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot easier.
Yeah.
That was maybe slightly a selfish decision on my part, just because when you have the multiple editions, it's so much more approvals and everything. And even though it's not a dual theme like we did 2 different games this time around, but it is 2 different licenses. So for me, it was still twice as much work. But having just one solid edition, this is what it's going to be. We're limiting it to this amount. I just felt like it removed a lot of confusion for people and just made it cut, dry, simple. Here's what we have to offer. We hope you like it. We tried really hard.
Yeah, it really like trims down the questions of like, what am I not getting in this tier? What am I not getting in this kind of?
Makes the decision process a lot easier for customers. Everybody knows what they're getting. There's 2 options. Do you want the butter cabinet? Do you want the topper? So far, 85% have said yes to the topper, at least.
And so we've recently seen like a new box that you've started putting your machines in. I'm like, so what's the story behind all that?
We needed a topper box when we did that. We didn't want to have just a plain ugly brown box, and we didn't want to slap a sticker on anything. So we had Franchi do a box for the topper, and it turned out way better than we knew a topper box could turn out for us. And we literally, it's kind of a mistake really. We got the first game done with Evil Dead. We boxed it up, we put the topper on top of it, strapped it all down, and we looked at it. We were like, man, the game box looks like butt.
It didn't look good together.
No, it did not match, and we were like, yeah, that needs to match. We better up our game on the game box. So we sent it over to Chris, and I gave him 2 ideas, and he ran with it with the rest of the way, and now we have the sexiest looking game box in pinball, I think.
That's the craziest part about Franchi. You just draw a little box, and he puts beautiful art in it. You can draw any shape you want. I just draw all the lines I want, and he colors right inside.
He's never short on ideas. He honestly has too many ideas.
I know you stated that in the past where he's always hitting you up like, hey, let's do this and let's do this. Like, hold up, slow down.
I got more than an artist when we brought Chris on. I got a marketing genius to a fault.
What fault?
It's just I can't do it all.
We're not doing this right now.
It's so.
I also got a wife.
Hilton, I want to say you were one of the first locations that actually had this game available for play, right? And so you actually had one of the best problems ever when it comes to having a machine on location, is that you're having to constantly empty the coin drawer.
Go to that chair so we can see you. Go
there. I'll tell a story. So I run 1/3 of Madison Pinball. We have a bunch of games on route in Madison. We supply the pinball machines in a few of the bigger arcades for IO Arcade Bar. Shout out to them. Love the place. Please stop by if you're in Madison to support. So clearly I'm nervous because I'm part of the team, right? So there's a lot of pride and you're putting yourself out there on display, and I'm doing it not just for everyone here, but I'm doing it for my local community, right? The pinheads I care and love and our friends. And that's a hard thing to do, right? So you put it out there, and I think I put it out there on a Thursday. And, no calls on Thursday, no calls on Friday, no calls on Saturday. Sunday is when the hardcore, like the guys who are really into pinball, all of us, are gonna go play because the bar is quieter. I can hear the game, I can play it, I can really session it out. And bar, I think, opens at 11, and like 2 o'clock, I get a call from my buddy. He's like, hey man, game's not crediting it up. And I'm like, oh man, just flip it off, turn it back on. Maybe there's a bug, right? I'll figure it out. And he's like, nope, put more credits in, still not crediting up. I'm like, give me 15 minutes, I'll be down. And I'm like, ah, man, we made it the whole weekend, what is it? And I open the coin door and the quarters fall out. It's not crediting it up because it had $512. I've never seen a game do that. It had nothing wrong with it, right? It was full. The coin box had too many quarters in it. I should have put a bill validator on, that was the problem. I've never seen a game do that. I've heard stories from like Rob Anthony from Lock When Lit back when he was, helping operate games when Adams would do, $400 in a week. It was astounding. And air free, it's the best problem you can ever have as an operator. It was pretty cool, and it made me proud, right, to be part of the team. And these guys have built such a solid game, and Luke really putting a great game together, and the quality, and Spooky continues to improve, right? So I help out with these guys, but I'm also an operator. And have high expectations for what these guys do to put it together. And knock on wood, we're over 3,000 plays, I think in 7 weeks it's been out. And I literally have a flipper button I've replaced.
Yeah.
And I've tightened a coil stop Allen screw and keep it cleaned, right? Keep it running. It's been fantastic. Best spooky built game to date, and I said that for every spooky game because they keep improving.
And because of the amount of coin drops he's gotten, we don't have to give him a Christmas bonus.
And that's been the constant hearing that I'm overhearing while I'm standing around people waiting in line, is that they're like, Spooky is stepping up their game, like every time. Like every game seems to be better than the last one. And so I guess the next question is like, why did it take you over a decade to make a game as reliable as Evil Dead?
That's my fault. No, I think we're trying. I guess the experience is finally kicking in. It's funny to say that because we've been doing this for quite a while now, but I think that bringing a lot of the people on board that we've brought on board has made us a lot stronger in every aspect of the game, from the physical parts to just the operator feedback from Hilton. Even Franchi's art elevates the whole look of the game. He makes the whole thing look better. I don't know how Franchi's art can make a steel part look better, but it just does. I don't. It just elevates the entire game. And then Ben, I think, is really coming along. He's one of the better programmers in the business. I think he makes really cool games, and yeah.
Well, and a big part of it over that 10 years that we nipped in the butt, and we're consistent with our team now. You're getting the same teams, you're getting the same board sets, you're getting the same parts every single time now. Over that 10 years, we had a lot of changes constantly, that whenever you have a major change in your build, if it's something like your board set, it takes a while to nail something like that down, to get it really refined and perfect for your game. We've been using the Warden system ever since Scooby-Doo now. So having that same board set each time has helped. Luke being behind the CAD and the design in every game, he keeps improving every single time. Ben is on his third game now.
Fourth.
And we'll be doing his fourth. So he keeps getting better.
No. Bill Paxton Pinball, America's Most Haunted, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead, and then Barbie's Horse Adventure.
There we go. We all know it's
that
next.
is, yeah, we that's the next game. We know that.
We know. We gotta say it a little more solemnly, like everybody knows.
Ben, how many texts have you sent during this panel?
Oh, don't even. It's terrible. It's a disaster.
Don't get him started.
It's like I want to ask Ben questions also, but I'm like, I don't want to disturb you also.
But no, we have a very consistent team that has a lot of experience under their belt now, and it's only going to keep getting better.
So like when it comes to design also, and you have your theme, some different designers have a different method of how they work around the theme or what they want to implement. So I'm kind of curious when it came to like Evil Dead, what are these things that went through your mind designing the playfield? Like, okay, we need to have this. How are we going to do this? What's going through your head on that process?
There was elements thematically that a handful of us all had that we really wanted in the game. Like immediately I wanted the cellar door that opens with Cheryl coming up and Cheryl going down. So you can do both those things. That was like day one, something I really wanted. And Luke, day one, wanted evil porch swing.
Yeah, which, Bug handles the small items that don't really matter.
Yeah.
I handle the major features of the game.
Like the swinging
porch
porch.
swing, and he does, silly stuff like giant trapdoors and whatnot. But
Ben, how many years ago did we talk about if we ever did an Evil Dead that we had to have a double barrel shotgun shooter lane that
those are
shot?
the big ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that and a lower playfield.
I don't even know
Yeah.
when this
I
was
really
like.
had to argue with Lucas about that.
Yeah, Ben
Yeah,
demanded the lower playfield. I'm like, do you know what kind of risk this is? You got to engineer the cover on the lower playfield perfectly, and you don't want it scuffing up over time. It's like, it's got to be perfect, Ben. It's such a big risk. And he was like, I don't care. People want to see a lower playfield,
Yeah.
Luke.
Well, yeah,
You win.
The way I pitched it to you is like, it's like your wedding. Well, I know you Gen Z people don't get married, but I was like, it's like your wedding videographer. You're never going to watch it, but you have to book it because everyone expects you to do it. And the lower playfield on Evil Dead was that, because you just have to have it. But I think it's a pretty good lower playfield.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
better
think
than
it paid
Congo.
off really big for
The other
what it
Bruce
is.
Campbell related pinball machine.
For a lower playfield that Luke and I initially weren't going to put in the game, we've had a lot of people be like, that's the best lower playfield in pinball. How'd you come up with that? We were like, oh, we didn't want to do it.
Did that like 8 p.m. one night.
But yeah, aspects of Evil Dead came from everybody on the team, but Spooky Luke was definitely in charge on the layout aspects. Like every game it seems like somebody kind of runs away with taking the lead on the shot design and kind of what they want. And on Evil Dead, it was Spooky Luke for sure. And because it's our best game ever, I'm gonna have to hear about it.
Man, that was a risk, huh, guys?
Oh, it had to be his.
So, like again, with the design on this, it's like every game has been different. There seems to be no like pattern to it. So it's like how, I'm kind of curious, when it comes to your next title, like, is it going to be drastically different than what we're seeing in Evil Dead? Or
This is great because Bug took the lead on the next playfield design. So if it's not as good as this one, guys, I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
I'm so screwed. Our best game ever, and then I have to follow it. Like, oh, come on.
No, it's going to be really good. I think all of the games we have coming are really elevated. I mean, we kind of keep saying we're Spooky Phase 3 now. Feels like we're on a different level than we've been in the past, and we're gonna keep that up. If you have our next 3 or 4 games sitting next to each other, you have a whole collection.
We are entering our golden era.
Yeah,
to say
for
the
sure.
least.
This is gonna be a good time.
so it's like, I'm trying to think of how to word these next questions here, because I had them and then they went away as I was interested. Well, yeah. So let's talk about challenges. And it's always interesting to hear the challenges that you overcome during the process of building up a game. So whether it be licensing or coding or even design, it's like, I think a lot of people like to hear the behind closed doors of like, this was a challenge to overcome this right here that you wouldn't think would be something like that. Something that would seem simple to us that are just playing a game. What are some of the challenges that you tackled and were able to overcome?
I think one thing that we actually did struggle with this was fitting all of the physical mechs in the game, which is part of the reason that it became a wide body and is so loaded, because a lot of themes don't have super on-the-nose mechs that are just obvious. When you think about Evil Dead, things are obvious, like double-barrel shotgun you have to have. The moving hand was very obvious to us that we needed to have right when we watched it. More important things like the porch swing. But if you keep thinking about Evil Dead, there's so many things that we couldn't even fit in the game above that would have been cool, like the deer head. So being able to, at a certain point, there was literally too much stuff to fit in the game, so we had to kind of decide what was going to make the cut and what wasn't. So in this game, that was a challenge, but it was fun in the aspect that a lot of games, it is hard to come up with the really unique mechs, and this theme just spoon feeds cool mechs that feel good, that are really obvious and on the nose all day long. So,
and also we kept running out of money.
Yeah, well, we don't worry about things like that.
Yeah. No, Luke definitely had the toughest challenge on this one when you look at the center, just the center section of Evil Dead, where you have a lower playfield, you have the 2 Deadite pop-up mechanisms, you have the Cheryl cellar door that lifts up with the targets that raise up in front of it. You have the right lift ramp. You have the shotgun mech to the left of it. He has to take all of these things that have a very large footprint, shrink that down, and make it so I and my guys can actually build it a lot of times throughout the week. And he had multiple revisions to make sure that this game was possible to build for us. So he definitely had the biggest challenge on this one, because the underside of Evil Dead, I actually saw it give Chris Turner a stroke. Like, I lifted it up and he went, oh.
You put all that under there just like that, huh?
What are you doing?
Wires?
Yeah. Think of the boards as a wiring harness. No, he does really clean work.
He's phenomenal.
So like Ben and Hilton, like from a coding aspect, every time they like have an idea, is that like, oh great, here we go, we have to implement this, so we have to code around this kind of thing, or is it a blessing or curse? How does that process go for you?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
I can take
What
this.
is your favorite
Ben,
color?
I'll take this. It's fine. Ben's busy.
Yeah, it's a disaster at home.
No, I don't think so. I think the challenge is fitting it all in, right? There's so much content. I don't think there's any limitations from either movie. There's so many things that we've had so many ideas, and we're like, that would be great. right? Let's do this. How do we do this? And then frankly, when Bruce gave us the second recording session, I mean, I've joked, but I really think, Ben, we should do this. We should just in a track mode have all the outtakes that we're not using, and you can just hit the flipper button in a track mode and listen to all of them, because they're so good, and there's just too much, right? Like, we can't, everyone's like, give us more Bruce callouts, and I was like, we can't put them all in. It would just be Bruce talking, right?
Yeah, there's almost like, there's like too much dialogue in the game. Like, we had
honestly.
it's just, we had like,
careful,
160 pages of script.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right now, the call-outs are literally tripping over each other. We have so many. We got to really refine it.
Well, a lot of them haven't been used yet because they have like, 6 more modes to add?
7, at least.
Yeah.
For about 60% is where we would say code is at this point in time, I think.
These guys are going to start developing the game live if you stay tuned long enough.
Yeah. So, Carrie, I'll actually say something I think we did learn from Texas Chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw, we had too many modes and it was too buggy at start. And so we really cut back, right? We said, we want 8 movie modes, we want 3 main multi-balls. We wanted insanity. Like, we had a lot of ideas, but we were like, we need to chalk boundaries for release, especially because I think Ben coded this in about 10 months, which is phenomenal.
From start to ship, yeah.
Yeah, to like go back to back. And we were working on Texas Chainsaw still in the background, right? And still are. So like Ben, I think, deserves some major accolades, and like getting him to context shift between the two is a pretty mighty task that I deal with sometimes, because you have to bring him back to where it was, and like he says, doing TCM is almost like archaeology of his brain. But I think we did a really good job. Relatively bug-free game. I think probably the most bug-free launch for Spooky
Oh,
game.
no, there are bugs in the version that's here at the show, but I won't tell anyone how to find them.
There are
We know
bugs.
what they are. You don't need to.
But that's something I think we're all really proud of, that the game really shoots and feels good and feels, I mean, people are like, so the game's like done? And I'm like, no, we have like so many more modes to add. It's crazy.
And then that was one thing in regards to Bruce and his call-outs, is that he was even making fun of the call-outs that you guys wrote for him. Like, I just read them, I don't write them, folks. Like, then that was a call-out, something like that at Resident Evil.
Because that terrible line about curds and whey.
Ben's obsessed with cheese curds or whatever, and he had
Why
this.
aren't you? You're from Wisconsin too.
I'm just cooler about it. No, he had this call out called "Make those targets like curd and get them out of my way." And Bruce reads it. He's going through it. Make those targets like curd and get them out of my way. Do you get it? Do you get the joke? Make those targets like curd and get them out of my way. I don't write them, folks. I just read them for a lot of money.
And I made sure it's in the game.
Yeah. If Bruce thought a call out was stupid, he made sure I knew.
So like Chris, like challenges on your end. I mean, what are some of the things that you encountered in the process, like developing the art package for this game?
How to make something so hideous look fairly acceptable. I mean, it's a gross. Both of them are foul movies, and
You're a fall movie.
I am. But how do you can't sidestep that. I mean, sorry, people who are like, I have kids, I can't have this game, damn it. I can't ignore that. I mean, you got to have Ash with blood splattered all over him, because that's how he spends half the movie.
We had that problem with TCM too. They were like, this is kind of like
That's
a little
a path
too
you
much
take
for like
when
my kid's basement or whatever.
Yeah. So, it was tough to try and find a balance. I had to work with 2 different movies. How do I make that work? Because they're drastically different. The cast is completely different in the second one from the first one. And even Bruce looks different in the first and the second one, so I decided, okay, I'm going to split it up. The Back Glass will be the first movie because that's what started it all, but we'll have Evil Dead 1 on this side, Evil Dead 2 on this side. Playfield's going to have to be a mix. We'll just, make it work, depends on the shot. So just, it's a lot of trial and error. You put something down, you put something next to it, and they go, that doesn't look right. Take it out, move it, add something different. There's tons of elements and different things to use within those movies, but everything always comes down to a balancing act. And we had 2 different movies from 2 different studios, 2 different licensing holders. And, I guess the hardest part was probably the playfield and trying to find some harmony in that, make it work, make it look good, make it look creepy, make it look scary, but, also give it a little bit of life and color so that it worked and it would balance out, but it would look, people want pinball to look happy. So
He didn't struggle at all, is
scary
what he's
and
trying to
happy.
say.
I didn't do what? I just closed my eyes.
He didn't struggle. He was fine.
It wasn't a struggle, no, it was just, it's work. It takes a lot of time.
I mean, it's always like, it's because a lot of us, including myself, we stand in front of a machine, we don't really understand and compensate all the work and efforts that go behind making this entire machine function the way it does, from blinking lights, from an insert that lights up, and from a shot that works correctly to the beautiful artwork that's around it. And I'm just kind of curious if there's any kind of, information out there that you can bestow upon a lot of us out there that, that we probably don't realize the amount of work that goes into something. Like, what are some of the things in the process of creating a machine in general that, some people just don't think about?
I thought you were still talking to him.
Anybody. I mean, anybody, mainly probably you on the licensing aspect.
We did add one more step in our QC process that I think has made this game more solid, and that's that we send an early game to Don of Don's Pinball Podcast, and he shows us any warning labels we might need or anything that people could stick their fingers in and get it caught in and cut themselves, anything dangerous. Or
Any way that you could set it up wrong, he has found.
He will do that. We add a lot of warning stickers, orange notices, stuff like that after that, so.
Basically, Don was the struggle that we didn't know we were going to have, I guess is the answer.
I would add
Is it a full-size figure or like a baby figure now?
I would add to that it's important to have a good communication, because these guys have to communicate to me what they're doing. I have to be able to understand that and then artistically represent what they're doing on the table. And if you don't have that, if they can't, some people can just do their job and they do it very well, but they can't explain what they're doing, but, working with Ben and working with Luke and working with Bug on all this stuff, everything was communicated very clearly, and that just makes for a much easier job. You know exactly what you're doing. Because if you don't, there's been a lot of times I've done work in the future for other companies where I've had to go back and just demolish stuff and redo it because the information I got up front was not communicated properly, or they didn't know what they were doing and they changed it.
And which companies were those? No, don't answer that.
I get in enough trouble.
Rework is always harder than doing it right the first time, for sure. Like the planning phase on the front end, being clear, concise, and having a good vision and experienced people to have a good vision of what the finished game actually looks like is really important. And it's a lot faster to do it right the first time than rework it 3 times.
Yeah, and Evil Dead, there were no changes that were due to any sort of problem or breakdown in communication. It was all just, a lot of the changes were mine. Like, I don't want this. This looks like shit. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to move that. Little tweaks, but it was probably the easiest playfield I had done because nothing was wrong, when we first put it together.
The only thing we fought in the artwork was that Sam Raimi is incredibly particular about how that car looks. We had the car in like 10 places originally. We had it in a lot of places originally, and Sam was just so particular with the minor details of the car that eventually the licensor emailed me and was like, you should probably just change out a few of those to be something else.
Yeah, Sam doesn't understand that, like, you can't, like, he's like, the fender's wrong or whatever, and I'm like, I had to change the car or we'll get sued by Pontiac, It can't look like that actual car. It's just kind of gotta change the bumper, change the headlight shape, whatever. And he's like, no, that's wrong. And but it has to be wrong or, we're all gonna get sued.
And that was kind of a cool moment as well, was the first time we sent in a real big bulk amount of artwork. And the one licensor came back with all of Sam Raimi's notes. And the dude really pays attention. Like, he knows his product and his license better than anybody I have ever worked with. He knows exactly how things are supposed to look, and he really took his time and looked it over and made sure it was exactly appropriate for what the license is. And just dude took impeccable notes. It was really cool.
So, like, when it comes to doing what you're doing here, this is the first time that you've had to work with multiple licenses, like simultaneously, correct?
On one game, yeah. I mean, like, because TCM and Looney Tunes is obviously two different licensors.
Yeah, but
Had to get all that done at the same time. But this was the first time it was two licensors on one machine. For
yeah.
us.
So, like, what was that experience like for you? Like, you're the primary person that has to talk to the
Yeah.
licensors, right?
Fortunately for me, it actually was pretty cut and simple. I mean, they've done this a time or two before because the video game, the Evil Dead video game, had come out, and they had just worked with each other on that. So they were already kind of in the groove of working on stuff like this together. So I originally talked with the first movie's licensors. And when I was talking with them, I was like, to get the ultimate experience out of this, we really need the second movie as well to like really make this work. And they were totally on board with that idea from the get-go. They introduced me to the other licensor for the second movie, and we're like, absolutely, whatever can make this happen, let's do that. And got introduced to them. They were fantastic as well. And overall, the process of submitting things and having them collaborate, they're great about it. They'd already done it quite a bit, so it just worked out. I mean, I could make up stories and complain and say, like, oh, it was hell, 2 licenses on one game, but honestly, they were fantastic to work with.
All right, so like we're like creeping up on the last 10, 15 minutes of the seminar right here. I didn't know if you guys wanted to do any type of like giveaway games like we did last year when it comes to like a Playfield t-shirt, whatever. I don't want to assume what you have the ability to do.
Okay, didn't they have a
how about we
t-shirt
do, like,
cannon
all that
last
stuff?
year?
T-shirt bazooka.
We will give away Franchi's shirt that he's wearing right now.
What about my Speedo?
But either way, we also have a microphone right here in the center. So if you guys want to talk to these guys in the Spooky Team and ask them a question, by all means, step right up and ask a question.
The anticipation's killing me. I hope it's good. Wrong.
Good evening. First of all, Bug, Luke, Chris, just want to say thank you for coming down. I actually have a Scooby-Doo in my, my arcade I manage for about a year and a half now. It's always had some bugs, physical and electrical, but it's held up well. Looney Tunes, a little more trickier, but just please tell Adam, AJ, and Tori, Jeremy from Southern California thanks them and you guys for all your help. But I did have one question. Regarding the warden system, whenever you open the coin door, the ball searches and the game doesn't stop. Have you guys ever thought about like putting like a interlock switch in just to pause the game?
Well, there used to be an interlock switch.
Yeah,
on
we
the
did
older
used to use an
games.
interlock switch. It honestly wasn't used by a lot of people, and it did confuse quite a few people because they would be trying to test things, and they would have their door open, and they're like, why won't my stuff fire in the test menu because I have my door open? So
Yeah.
we eventually decided to just do away with it. It didn't seem like it was, it seemed like it was an equal part confusion to a help.
I see. Well, thank you very much, and tell Tori, AJ, and Adam, Jeremy from Pinball, thanks them for their help, and thank you guys for making such a fun game. Game.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for your question.
This guy's the GOAT of questions.
Yeah.
He has so many good questions.
This gentleman right here was at our very first seminar that Bug and I did, and he asked all the good questions. There was like
I appreciate
maybe 10
that.
people in the room.
I've been coming here 21 years for Texas Pinball Festival,
Nice.
so it's been great. I go to a lot of shows. Now, when you do 1,000 games a year, and the person who's the last, how long he's going to have to wait before he gets his game?
We always try to do all of our games in 12 months. So, and we've been sticking to that cycle pretty good. I mean, anyone who follows us or has ordered our games, we've been on the same schedule here for quite a while and everything. So,
They're going to wait a year to get it?
when did they order? Did you specify when they ordered? Launch
If
day
they're
or
dead
today?
last in line.
Oh, if they're last in line, they would wait about a year. Yes, not a year from today, but a year from launch. But anyone who orders on launch day is probably going to be in the first 8 months, I would imagine, or so. But
Are you all using invisible glass?
We're about to. I just ordered a crate of it.
Okay, that's great. More better for you.
Yep, we'll have it available at the factory,
Be
so
more
you'll be able to get it
stocks and
factory
everything
installed.
So I'll let somebody else have a turn.
That was it? I was... Neil.
Hey guys, so two things. Once, I've given you guys a lot of hard time about quality. I've just been watching out there. You guys have made a step, no question about it. Well done. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And I don't do that because I like whining at people, but I don't know if you heard the seminar before, but games working in arcades well, and you'll know this, Hilton, right? There's nothing more important. When people come in, the game's down, they've traveled from far, especially in Europe where there's not that many games, so appreciate that. my big question was, how is it working with Bruce Campbell? I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan, and when you guys got this IP, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome, but how is it working with him, or was there any stories, anything exciting about working with Bruce Campbell?
How was it working with Bruce Campbell?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry, I speak in English.
I got terrible
The
ears.
King's English.
The show has...
He doesn't understand English either.
Yeah. No speaky English. No, Bruce was... My favorite thing about him was that I felt like Ben and I put a very good script in front of him, and anything in our script that sucked, he made a lot better because his improv skills were off the charts good.
Yeah,
And,
most of the improv is in the game.
Yeah, like he just would take, because Ben and I would be like, okay, we've done like way too many funny extended call-outs. We got to do some really simple stuff here that's just general information. And Bruce just wouldn't go for it. He just had to add to every single thing that he would record in some way or another. So we really got what we paid for there as far as him making sure that he was in fullest Ash form for the game.
And I kept thinking about all the DVD commentaries I would watch of Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3 with Bruce and Sam Raimi and all them and Ted Raimi. And they would always talk about how Bruce is like, oh, he's a dullard, he's kind of dumb, he's lucky, he's kind of a jerk. So when we were writing it, I'm like, okay, well, let's write him that way. Like, at least the way I did it, I'm like, I'm not going to write him like some sort of superhero. I'm going to write him like a dumb jerk.
Yeah.
And he said all the lines.
Yeah.
He's like a dumb, lucky jerk in those movies. Oh, God. You want to know the story behind this?
What is going on over
It's actually
there?
kind of relevant to pinball. My family went to my house to like feed my cat, and they're like, oh, we can stay at Ben's house. And then my mom, who's getting older, she locks the lower locks I told her not to lock. And I'm like, you only have the deadbolt key. Madison is not Detroit. If it were, our property taxes would be a lot lower. Come on, it's true. So anyway, during this conversation, I contacted my friend who has an arcade, and I had him go out and drill out the lower lock in the back of my house.
Oh, no.
That whole arc happened during this seminar. So this is kind of like pinball, right?
So this is working with Ben Heck.
Oh, God. It's resolved now.
How many locks are on the inside of your door, Ben?
Well, there's two,
7?
right? So I'm like, only use the deadbolt. But like my mom's like, oh, no, Madison is like Detroit. It's like Don't Breathe, which was produced by Sam Raimi. Closing all the locks. Oh, that'll keep him out. Oh.
If you shit on my hometown one more time, we're gonna have words, mister.
No, hey, dude.
This ain't
It's my
Detroit.
mom. Anyway, everything's all right now, which is also a line from the Evil Dead commentary.
You can just interrupt him. It's okay.
Just cut in.
I'm done.
Glad to hear it's all working out for you. So since the machine's doing so well, since it's sold out today, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And since it's, according to you, it's the best machine you've ever made, and I agree. What are the chances that since there's more to this property, that at some point in the future you guys could look to do a Army of Darkness, Ash versus Evil Dead follow-up game
Hey, man,
to this?
the Stern guys are in the back of the room, so
right.
just like keep it down. No.
Sorry, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
No, I think we could definitely. I mean, you still have the Army of Darkness, so maybe someday, 6-8 years down the road, we can. Hopefully, I'd love to do it again.
6 to 8 years. Okay, good deal. All right, good luck.
Thank you.
That was an exact date. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, to the day.
Are there any other questions for the spooky team? Oh, he's
comes.
going. Slow down.
I knew he had more.
He was just being polite.
Well, I know you all do a lot of your own production, like parts and stuff.
Yep.
How much is you outsource now?
How much do we outsource now?
Not much.
Not much. Honestly, some of the minimal stuff that we still do outsource, some of it we have the capability to do ourselves, but it can be more efficient to outsource it, but we keep the ability to do it ourselves as a backup for things like during COVID. Obviously, everyone knows we didn't really miss a beat during that in our manufacturing where a lot of people were struggling, so we were able to get through that. So we do a lot of planning for stuff like that, and we do not outsource, probably less than we ever have, and if we do outsource it, it's usually because of just square footage or more infrastructure to build, because we built almost all the infrastructure of our factory and all the equipment that we do have from scratch over the last 10 years and learning how to run and operate a lot of the machinery and everything. So we could get to all of it eventually, who knows. No, we don't really do 2 production lines. We have a mixed production line. So the system that we use basically allows us to switch between titles every day. So if Morgan needs to ship out a Scooby, 2 Looney Tunes, and an Evil Dead, we do 4 games a day right now, and we'll be moving up to 20 games, or 20 games a week, sorry. We'll be moving up to 20 games a week here shortly. So whatever mix of titles that she needs for that day that we can just do. So if there's 3 Evil Deads and 1 Scooby needed, we just knock it out. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a huge help.
All right, I think we have reached the end of our time, guys. We are creeping up on the 8 o'clock time period. Don't want to eat into the next seminar's time, so by all means, thank you for joining us. And also, congratulations to Spooky for selling through on your 888 Evil Deads.
Thank you.